Meanwhile, to mark this year's International Day in support of victims of torture, stakeholders of the Advocates Sans Frontières France Lawyers Without Borders France have called for amendment of the Anti-Torture Act by inserting provisions in the awaited implementation rules and regulations, which establish and define the powers of the National Committee Against Torture. This was made known at the press conference in Abuja today. Maliki Duro has more in this report.
Director Citizens' Rights and Secretary National Committee Against Torture, F.K. Bebu, in his welcome address, reiterates the federal government's commitment towards the fight against torture, stressing that the ministry would ensure that the concerned authorities implement the Anti-Torture Act.
The federal government has set up this national preventive mechanism. It means that the government is out to curb this menace. So if the victims comes forward to report to the committee, or even the civil society organizations who receive such reports now interact with us, we will take steps to prosecute the perpetrators of the act.
Director, Advocates, Sans Frontières, France, Angela Uwandu Uzoma Iwuchukwu noted that government needs to separate itself towards the tolerance of torture and hold perpetrators accountable. Meanwhile, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Dr. S.S. Ame, who gave a background of the inception of the National Committee Against Torture in Nigeria, said provisions for the compensation of victims of torture should be made in the Act.
Without Borders France since 2009 has been working to provide access to justice for victims of torture in Nigeria on the platform of its ProCat project, but also the SAFE project, aimed at providing free legal assistance to victims of torture. So far, we have represented over 1,200 victims of torture in Nigeria, helping them to obtain legal redress and compensation for the violation of their rights.
Immediately thereafter, the victims of the war were subjected to horrific acts of torture, inhuman and degrading treatment that touched the hearts of the whole world. People felt sad as a result of the treatment given to the victims of the Second World War.
Deputy Director Access to Justice Deji Ajare, while responding to questions from journalists, has this to say.
A judge of the Kogi State High Court informed us that he did a survey of 15 judges in Kogi State, judges of the High Court of Kogi State, and most of them were not even aware of the existence of the Act, and none of them had ever, quite understandably, yes, there is need to create to sensitize, but then some work is being done. It may not be enough, but then more will continue to be done.
With this year's theme towards zero tolerance against torture, it is expected that there should be accountability on the part of perpetrators, protections of victims of torture, as well as total compliance by the law enforcement agency.